they guesstimate that only 1 in 1,000, that is their best guesstimate, 1 in 1,000 of these little babies will live to adulthood and will live to breed and perpetuate the species.
The season is from 1st of May to the end of October. They come in and start nesting, and about 45 to 55 days later, these new nests will start hatching. We feel that the hatches that are, or the nests that are up in the high part of the beaches where the sun doesn't hit for much of the day, they incubate a lot slower, so sometimes they hatch way after the 45-day period. If they're down in the open beach where the sun can hit all day from early morning to early evening, they incubate on time.
A false crawl is when a female turtle comes up onto the beach with the intention of nesting, and for some reason she decides it's not the right place or the right time, and she turns around and goes out. So when we're out during the day, we can determine by looking at the tracks whether it was a false crawl or a nest, and when we determine it's a false crawl, we mark through the false crawl so that if anyone else comes back and looks at it, they'll know that we have already seen it and already logged the information. Sometimes the false crawl is just down close to the water, and sometimes they go all the way up the beach into the bushes and change their mind and turn around and go back.
You can see where she came up here on the right by the way her footprints are. She went in here, had a nice nesting session, and her nest is about right here where this large mound of dirt is. And when she's done, she does a big pivot around and she goes out. And you can see by the footprints, it's almost like a horse. See how this footprint is like this? See? She's coming up. If you go over there, she's going out.
This is the stake for the front of a nest that we call an end nest, and that's every fifth nest in this county. We have to find the eggs and mark the eggs so we can find them again, hopefully after a storm, if this front stake gets washed out. And so this is the zone number. This is zone 13.
That wasn't very much.
This is going to be our nest number, and this one's 115. And then the next numbers we'll put on here is the date that we found it. This is 7/1, the 1st of July. And then the initials of the people that were here when we found it. Maggie, of course, goes first because it's her zone. This number is the chronological order it came in, so we have now 115 nests on this beach. And then on the back we put the address, so if we find this stake, if it gets washed out and washed down the beach, we'll know where it came from.
How many stakes do you do when it's this high? Just one up there, or do you do 4?
What we do is we know where the eggs are, and we lay it down one stake flake in front of the nest. And then we set it up, and we put it right there. And peace out, correct?
Okay. That's good. Otherwise it will disappear.
26.96057 degrees and 82.38349 degrees. "23 feet.
When the baby hatches and finds its way to the water, it takes it 3 to 5 days to swim to the Gulf Stream. And there it floats around the world for 25 to 30 years. And if she's a female, she will return almost into the same area that she was born in. Males, they never come back on shore. They just stay out into the Gulf of Mexico or the Atlantic Ocean or the Pacific Ocean, and they never return back on ground.
What do they call that thing in the middle? Her breastplate, but there's another word for it. And we just kind of draw a line straight in. But we try to dig straight down because if we dig at a diagonal, sometimes we get underneath where we might dig the next time, and then if we do that, it undermines, it falls down, and it's not good for the nest or the eggs. We have a number of different animals that are predators and will eat the turtles and the eggs while they're in the nest after they've been laid, and then there are some that will go after the turtles once they're hatching between the nest and the water, and there are some that are when they're in the water too. The predominant predator on the beach that get into the nest are raccoons. They'll dig down in and they will eat the eggs. They will, if the eggs have just been laid and they still are a yolk, they will eat all the yolk out of the egg and feed their babies with the yolks. And then if it is near hatching time, they will just dig all the little turtles that are not quite ready to hatch out of the nest and leave them laying about the beach. We also have coyotes, and we have some bobcats. We have armadillos. We have some domestic animals, cats and dogs, that will get into the nest. Then, after the turtles hatch, the little turtles hatch, and they're making their way to the water. Hermit crabs are a big predator, and then seagulls will come out of the sky and will pluck them off the beach and out of the water. We do our best to chase them away, though they usually hatch at night, so we're not available to do that. That is a good thing for the turtles, because once they get out of them, they can't be seen by the birds. The birds are on the beach at night. Also, the great blue herons will take them.
Standing water, they suffocate. But if they get washed over, they can survive. They can get washed over 3-5 times.
Where the little white spot is down there is where the side of her egg chamber, top egg is, and her nest is located probably about right here.
Females only mate once a year, and from that one mating, they lay several nests, 3, 5, maybe 8 nests. And so the ones that are laid early in the season are more fertile. They lay a nest every 2 weeks approximately, and as we get later in the season, the eggs seem to be less fertile because they've mated weeks and weeks ago, and your later nests tend to have less eggs that hatch.
First we'll cover this back up. We'll pack the sand back in the hole.
And hang it right over. It doesn't look like you're hanging it over. That's just from my point of view.
Okay, how's that look?
It looks good.
All right, 8 feet 5. The loggerhead, most times when we dig the nest, which is 3 days after it hatches, we are allowed to dig that particular nest. You can see where the eggs have come out. We put shells around that entry point, and 3 days after we dig that nest, count all the empty eggshells in there and any live babies, any pipped, which are ones that are half out of the egg, and any eggs that did not hatch. When we do that, we count approximately around 100 or plus eggs in that particular nest of a loggerhead.
We never saw this nest hatch. I just have a gut feeling I want to dig here.
Little turtles generally will hatch at night, and in the moonlight they go toward the light, toward the moonlight, which takes them generally toward the water. So if they're on a beach where there are a lot of houses and there are bright lights on at the houses, they have what's called disorientation, and they will go toward the houses, toward the street lights. And so it's very important in these coastal areas that the lights be kept dim or out at night, so that the females, when they come into nest, do not get disoriented, and also these little babies, once they hatch, will go toward the water. Their instinct is to go toward that light, go toward the moon, go toward the water.
Wow, fabulous! They weren't very deep, were they? Maggie, that's awesome!
There's one that didn't hatch. Partially, embryo that has hatched partially, and for some reason it has not come all the way out of the egg. It's a pipped egg, we call them. They have a little beak at the end of their face, and they pick their way out of the egg, and for some reason this was aborted by nature.
And then we'll put these in packs of 10s and we'll count them. We've got 86, approximately 86 that hatched. You can see by the empty shell. And we have one that was a pip. We had 3 that were unhatched. And then we have 3 poor little ones that died. They did not make it out of the hole. Put them back in the earth.
But 80 is good. That's good. That's a good hatch.
I think they say cool dude, hot chick. So the ones in the bottom where it's cooler is males, and the ones on the top where it gets hotter because of the sun are usually females.